Hello crafty friends, really quickly here, I just wanted to say that I do talk a little bit long in the second intro of this video, but if you just want to skip straight to the crafting, I will leave a comment down below with the time code. Just click on that and it will take you straight to the relevant point of the video. So let's get to the second intro of the video now. Hello crafty friends, I'm Lien from Studio Kato and I'm so excited about this video today. I am showing you the Spellbinders Betterpress Letterpress system. If you don't know what that is yet, I will share all about it in this quick introduction in a minute. And after that, we're going to get into some experimenting. Now, I am going to be as honest as I can be about this product. I know you guys know that I work with Spellbinders sometimes. They invite me for some releases. They didn't invite me for this one. I bought all of these products with my own money, so this is as unbiased as I could possibly get. But obviously, I am still affiliated with Spellbinders. Yeah, so do with that what you will. I'm going to try to be as honest as I could be. And you can figure out along this video, along the way, if this would be a good addition to your craft room. Now, in the experiments, I already found a great hack. So if you already bought this system, good news for you, I found the perfect way to use this on a lot of different cardstocks. Colored cardstock works great with this system if you use my hack. If you don't, you're gonna struggle. So stick around to find that out as well. A lot of information about this video in this video, so let's get right into it. Now maybe you're one of the people like me who didn't really know what letterpress was or what Spellbinders was hoping to achieve with this product when I first saw it. So this is what you can create with it. This looks like a very simple card. Obviously, I haven't given it any color. This is not a finished card by any means. This is one of my experiments. What you get in this system is obviously the system itself. I'll show you in a minute. But the point of it is to use these metal plates. These are not dies. These are not hot foil plates, although you actually can use them with your Glimmer machine as well. But that's a video for another time. You use these plates with ink, a specialty ink and a specialty cardstock, though we'll find out that you don't need this cardstock necessarily, to just impress the ink into the paper. And this is not showing up on camera as well. I'm gonna try to show it a little bit better, but you really get a nice debossed look. I hope you can see that. You can definitely feel it in real life and obviously see it as well. There are some cards where I got a better impression. Again, I'll show you that hack in the second part of this video. But yeah, this is just showing you an example of what you can achieve with this Betterpress system. I have already finished some cards. I'll show you that too. And I do think this is incredible. What I'm even more excited about than the debossed look, although that is fantastic and it's definitely why I got this system, the detail you get in these plates is incredible. This is much more detailed than a hot foil plate, obviously, because those can't be very detailed, but it is even more detailed than a stamp. And yeah, it's just so stunning. I can't wait to see what Spellbinders comes up with next in regards to these plates. And I'm also very excited to see what other companies will create, which images they will create in the future with this technique. I think the level of detail is very exciting. So I can go on about that a little bit more, but let's not. Let's show you what you get in this starter kit. It does include everything you need to get started, except a manual die cutting machine. Like the Glimmer platform, you do need to feed this through your die cutting machine, because that will provide the pressure to press the image into your cardstock. This is the Betterpress system. I'm showing it to you horizontally, so you can definitely see it all. But yeah, this is it. Spellbinders Betterpress. It comes in two pieces. You have the clear top plate. Obviously, I've already used this a ton because I had a lot of experiments in mind. You get the top clear plate. This is where you adhere your cardstock to. You'll show how I make the cards in a second. This is very easy to do because a second ago I compared it to the Glimmer hot foil machine. The Glimmer machine has a very steep learning curve. This definitely doesn't. This is foolproof. It's so easy to use. This part is called the chase. This is the platen. I don't know if I mentioned that. And the chase comes with this magnetic insert. And this is a very strong magnet. Nothing is going to move on there. You place your plates in there or on there. You have the grid to line up your sentiments. Very, very handy. Then what also comes in the box, and definitely don't throw these out. I didn't know what they were at first. These are little shims. For now, you are supposed to just keep them in your platform underneath the magnetic insert. Now, when do you actually take these out is when Spellbinders comes out with bigger cardstock. That is Spellbinders' plan. It is not yet in store at the moment, but they're gonna come out with it soon. And if you work with that even thicker cardstock, that's when you take those shims out. So yeah, very easy to use. Paper goes here, the plates goes here, and then you have those little metal notches in the platen. Those line up perfectly with the magnets on the chase, and that's where you feed it through your die cutting machine. Again, very easy. So this obviously comes in the starter kit because that's the whole system you need. What you also get is some of the specialty cardstock that Spellbinders is selling for this system. It comes in 3 colors. It is cotton cardstock, so it feels very luxurious. These are the colors. So you have porcelain, which is their white. It's a very nice white. I'm very happy with the color there. You have a more creamy color cardstock, and then you have pebble, which is the gray. I really like that they included a gray as well. I think that will look amazing with some coloring techniques as well. You also get Spellbinders Best Ever Craft Tape in this box because you do need to tape your cardstock to the system. You get some Betterpress black ink. They only have the small sizes, and that is definitely intentional. It's much easier to use this small ink pad than it would be to use a large ink pad on this system. I'm very happy they chose to go with a small one. There are re-inkers available for each ink, and there are also other colors available as well. This is the plate that comes within the starter kit. There are lots of different plates available already. This is just a really stunning floral. You can see I've used this quite a bit already. And you have 1 sentiment, just with a different spelling for UK English, Canadian English, and US English. So yeah. This is all that comes in your starter kit. Let's quickly show you the inks as well, because it's always fun to see what's available right now. I'm not going to show you all the plates. I don't think there's much of a point. You'll see a couple of them in my experiments and my cards that I made. So these come in 2 sets of 4 ink cubes. They are not available separately at the moment. The re-inkers are available separately for each color as well. You have 2 sets, like I mentioned. This is more light colors and this is more darker ones. This is called the Regal set and this is Nature set. I love some of the colors. I love all of the colors. I think a good selection of ink is important with a new system like this if you need a specialty ink. I have already seen some videos that maybe you don't need a specialty ink or that it does work with some other inks as well. So I'll be testing that out in a future video too. Now what I don't love about these sets is that you get a black one again in one of these sets. I wish they could have formulated or they would have formulated a maybe a green. I think a green would have fit in here beautifully, a nice deep emerald. Yeah, so you're gonna end up with 2 black ink pads, and I think that's a bit of a waste because you're gonna throw one away in the end because you're gonna buy the re-inker probably. And yeah, that's just, I don't love that. The inks itself are great. I just don't love that they come in packs of 4 with a black one. I was already gonna move on to the cardstock, but I do want to mention the price point of these products actually. So you get one set of 4 inks for, I think it was $16. I should look that up again, actually. Okay, so I looked it up, it's $17 and a re-inker costs $5.50. So I think that's a very fair price. That's not outside of the normal range for these size of ink pads. The system itself, the starter kit is $80. And again, I think that's a very fair price as well. Now, why did I mention the prices? I think it's important to know the price of the paper before you buy the system. Again, don't let this deter you too much because I have found a good alternative cardstock that you could use, and I have found a way to use this with your colored cardstocks as well. But the specialty cardstock that Spellbinders is selling right now is very expensive. I do love it. I think it's a very great cardstock. It feels super luxurious and you do get a great impression with it every single time. But for this pack of 25 sheets of A2 size card panels, so 25 A2 size card panels, this costs $13. I think that's a little bit expensive. It doesn't sound expensive, but this pack of full-size sheets, so 8.5 by 11 inches. Again, you get 25 sheets in a pack. That is $40 for 25 sheets. That is very steep for me. Maybe that is normal within your price range or within your budget. It is not really normal in mine. So that is why I wanted to make this video particularly about paper or other papers you can use with this system, because I do think the system is phenomenal. I just think that this would make it a little bit too expensive for my craft room. If I had to buy this cardstock every single time to use with the system, I don't think I would use it very much. I think that would put a real dent in my wallet, and I'm not about that. So I have found some great alternatives. This is the Spellbinders specialty cardstock. So this is that cotton cardstock that they sell. This is some other watercolor cardstock I tried, and this again is watercolor cardstock. I think you can find a watercolor cardstock that will work for you, but let's show you what I found so far. The first thing I'm going to be using is the Spellbinders Betterpress cotton cardstock, just to have a control here, because they say that this is the best cardstock to use, so this should be the standard, right? This is what we're trying to achieve. We are just lining up the plates now, and that metal insert, that magnetic insert, is really holding these in place very nicely. And then on the platen, you can line up your cardstock. There are markers for A2 size card panels, so that's very easy to line up everything. Once everything is in place, I start to ink things up. And you do have to be a little bit careful when inking things up, just so you're sure everything is covered. Because you can't really put this through your die cutting machine twice. Things are probably going to shift around. Not the plates on the magnetic insert, but the platen is going to press a little bit differently every time you put it through your die cutting machine. So this is the result you should achieve. It's very, very stunning in real life. Again, I'm not sure if it says much on camera, but I really like it. I try to show it off as much as possible, but this is that flower you get in the starter kit. Now, my first experiment was, I mean, it's not very far-fetched. This is Canson Héritage cardstock. This is watercolor cardstock, but it is 100% cotton. Now, the biggest downside of this, I don't think it's a downside, but it might be for some people, is that it has a grain to it. So it's not smooth cardstock. The cotton cardstock from Spellbinders is extremely smooth. This, you can see the bumps on it. Now, there is a smoother version of this cardstock. I don't have it, but you can find it. It's just cold pressed. If you're looking for watercolor cardstock, cold pressed is going to be the smoothest version of that cardstock you're going to find. This was hot pressed. Another cardstock I tried out was the Canson XL Watercolor because I happen to have it, but I also know that a lot of card makers use it. And it does work pretty nicely, even just doing it this way. Now again, later on, I'll show you my hack, and if you use that with this cardstock, you're going to get an even better impression. So you do get a nice impression. It's just not as good as the 2 cotton cardstocks we tried. Still, it looks amazing. It's not the standard we're aiming for, but it still looks amazing. And here is the hack, you guys. I am going to show you this. I don't even know how I thought of this. I just thought, well, if you want a good impression, you want soft cardstock or some padding behind it. And the first thing I thought of was just a paper towel. So I cut that down and I taped it on the platen. I also wet my cardstock a little bit. So I just used some water in a spray bottle. And I thought of this because we do it a lot when using 3D embossing folders. It loosens the fibers of the paper a little bit. So that is going to give you a better impression with an embossing folder. So why wouldn't it work here? So I tried both together and it works amazing. This is just random colored cardstock. This is from Concord 9th. It is Aqua Sky. Concord 9th cardstock is, I'm not sure of the weight. I'll try to leave it in the description below. It's not super thin. You don't want thin cardstock for this, but I did also try it with Spellbinders cardstock, and I believe that most of the branded cardstocks we get from our favorite stamping and die cutting companies are of a similar weight. So I think this trick will work for any colored cardstock in your stash. Just try it out. It's not going to harm anything. So just a paper towel and wet your cardstock on the backside. I have only tried wetting it on the backside because I'm not sure how the ink will react with the water, and I didn't want to deal with that mess this time around. Now here I'm showing you the differences. The first one was nothing done to that colored cardstock. The second one is just wetting it, so making it a little damp on the back. And that third one is using a paper towel behind it and wetting it. And it makes such a difference. Again, I don't think it shows up on camera as much, but it's a huge difference. I got the same impression, the same level of an impression on that colored cardstock using my trick than I did with that Spellbinders Betterpress cardstock. So I was very, very happy. Now here I'm quickly showing you some other things I did. I tried vellum. You're not really gonna get an impression on that one, but it's fun to stamp on vellum. And yeah, this ink definitely stays on the vellum. Let it dry for a little bit, but this will dry on any slick surfaces, I think. So we also tried it on this silver cardstock. It left a great impression, but the ink, I don't know, it didn't show up super well on the silver cardstock. I don't know if that was the cardstock or the ink. We'll try out some other things in the future. I'm just quickly showing you some things I thought of testing. This one was fun. This is white glitter cardstock. and it's just so fun to stamp with these plates because they are so detailed. And you, again, do get a better impression on the glitter cardstock as well if you wet the back a little bit and use a paper towel as well. Now let's make a card. Enough of the experimenting. I wanted to make a card. Again, I'm going to use some colored cardstock. This is from Spellbinders. I am also using a different plate for this card so you can see something different. Again, it's some flowers, but this is the butterfly bouquet press plate. I taped a paper towel on my platen first, and then I'm taking that peach sorbet cardstock from Spellbinders. I'm adding some water to the back of it just with a spray bottle, and I'm gonna dab most of that away with more paper towel. Just so it's not super wet. I do this same thing when I'm putting it through an embossing folder. Now, a quick thing to note here, the cardstock will buckle a lot more if you wet it. So make sure to tape it down a little bit better than you would when you don't use water, because it might touch the plate before it goes through the die cutting machine. That is the only difficulty I have found with this hack. You have to be a little bit more careful to tape it in place nicely, or otherwise you're going to get some ink on there, maybe in a spot you don't want ink, because the paper is touching the plate before it should. That's the only difficulty, and I've only had that happen once. Now this is the amazing impression again. It's the same level of impression you would get on the Betterpress cardstock, so I'm very happy. Now I wanted to color this in with my colored pencils because this ink is good for colored pencils and it's good for watercoloring. But I also was a little bit afraid that putting too much pressure with the colored pencils would just get rid of that amazing letterpress effect that I got. So I didn't want to try to cover everything in this with color from colored pencils because that just takes a lot of pressure. So instead I use my Ohuhu markers. These are alcohol markers, and the ink definitely reacts with the markers. I knew this before going in. I did make a little swatch chart on the cardstock to know what the colors would look like and also how much the ink would transfer. And I found that if I was just careful while coloring, it would be fine. And I also knew that I was going to go over this with colored pencils, so it wouldn't matter that much. So I think it's fine if you're not doing any shading, just to put a little base coat down before you go in with your pencils. I think you're going to be fine. Just don't go over the lines over and over. I barely touched the lines when I was coloring with my alcohol markers. Now to add the shading, I used the colored pencils. These are the Faber-Castell Polychromos colored pencils. I really love them, and they're really easy to use. I think colored pencils are so fun and easy to use. They always remind me of when I was a kid and coloring in coloring pages. I think this was a very fun image to color as well because it's so detailed. You don't even need to add much shading. They have done a lot of shading already for you with some extra lines here and there. So the details are mostly there already. I just added a little bit of darker color here and there. I also added a bit of a highlight with white colored pencils, but I thought of that a little bit too late, so it's not super perfect. This panel is quite trimmed down already. I just propped it up on an A2 sized card panel, put a sentiment on there and some gems and called it done. That letterpress effect already packs such punch. I didn't want to add too much to this design. So this was a very long video, but I hope you liked it because I definitely did. I had so much fun experimenting with the Betterpress system, and I know it's going to be a much loved tool in my craft room, even just because you get so much detail in those plates. I still can't get over that. I hope you like it. I hope you check out the Betterpress system, and I hope you try my hack if you already have the system already, because I think it's going to give you a lot more use out of this great tool. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.